Welcome, everybody, to yet another edition of Living on Music. I'm Steve Houk, and again, happy 2021. I know we are all ecstatic that the 2020 year is behind us. And again, 2021 hopefully will be full of joy and hope and recovery, and also plenty of live music. We're hoping that once this last surge passes, we can get out and playing again and listening to music and having an amazing time. If you see behind me, one of my favorite places on the planet, it is JV's in Falls Church, Virginia. Lorraine Campbell's amazing venue, 72 plus years it has been in operation, with some of the best local musicians anywhere. I've been able to play there with my humble cover bands and duos and stuff, which has been a huge thrill. But some of the greatest local musicians are JV's regulars, including my amazing guest tonight, Linwood Taylor, who is one of the most versatile blues musicians this area has ever seen, continues to be, and in fact is playing JV's in about 2 weeks from today with my buddy Soul Roots, who they often collaborate with. So Linwood and I are going to have a great conversation. So stay tuned for that. Real quick, I just have one plug tonight. My pal Marlene Angelides, who is the lead singer for Led Zeppelin, and also just one of the most versatile, kind of incredibly variety-filled musicians and people I've ever met, let alone interviewed, let alone known. And she has decided through this that she was going to kind of create almost an alter ego of sorts. It was what she called she said it was meant to incorporate all the thoughts I have never expressed over the years, especially since I have a strange relationship with my deep and passionate desires. They've always tortured me. Wow. Marlene, amazing. So Chavira is her new kind of world that she is in right now. Chavira.com is where you can go check her out. It's basically kind of a multicultural, professional, deeply personal outlook with a new solo project that she's doing. She has a new track, a 4-track EP called Rich, which will be out very soon. She has, again, the website, which is chavira.com. This is one incredibly talented woman, and has so much to offer with all the things she's done in her career, let alone her amazing new adventure with Chavira. So go check out Marlene. Go check out Led Zeppelin. It's ledzeppelin.com, I believe. And that is the Led Zeppelin tribute band that tours the world. And I know Marlene and Steph Paynes very well. And they are one of the great tribute experiences in the world. And we're cranking along right when this hit. And I had Steph on about my third show. But Marlene, Chavira, we love you. And go check her out, you guys. She is one in a million. Well, there's a legendary music hall, venue, bar, and restaurant. You can call it what you wish in Falls Church, Virginia. You see it behind me, and many of you know it very well. It is called JV's. My good friend Lorraine Campbell, who I call Queenie, and I've called her that for a number of years, owns and runs it. And her father started it over 72 some odd years ago after serving in World War II. It has become one of the region's most beloved music venues. It's a place where many of this area's finest musicians have sown their oats, and they continue to there. Even I have had the incredible opportunity to play at JV's with my midlife cover bands. I've done duos there, full bands, a Rolling Stones tribute. I've also done the David Bowie tribute a number of years ago with Seth Keibel, Billy Coulter, and some of the other amazing musicians that played that night. And as a midlife cover band singer, it is a thrill and an honor and a privilege. And it is also a thrill and honor and a privilege to play the same stage as revered, lifelong, fabulous musicians like my guest tonight, the great Linwood Taylor. Linwood is a staple of JV's. His sweet wife, Judy, is one of their hardest working staffers and a part of the whole world there. And when he plays there, whether it's with his band or with friends of his or former guests of mine, guys like Soul Roots, Dave Chappell, other amazing people, he sets the place on fire with his version of the blues, as he has across this region and across the world for decades. And that's what's so cool, that a renowned and revered and respected lifelong musician like my guest, as well as a good old cover band guy like me, can both perform and be a lasting part of that great place called JV's. And it is a great place. In fact, Linwood's next gig there, I believe, is in about 2 weeks. There might be a solo one sooner, but I know on the 23rd he is playing, as he does often, with the great Soul Roots at JV's. Tonight it is largely all about the blues, though, and that's why I am wearing this T-shirt from the great Kingston Mines, one of the great blues clubs on the planet in Chicago, that I was able to go and see actually a 93-year-old bluesman play who was incredible. And that's why the blues is where we are tonight. My guest tonight, a Washington area native and veteran blues guitarist Linwood Taylor, has performed and toured not only locally all over the place, but internationally, fronting his own band, as well as a 2-year stint as a guitarist in the Joe Louis Walker Band. He has performed on stage with some of the blues gods: Albert Collins, Lonnie Mack, Eddie Kirkland. The list goes on, to name just a few. He has shared the stage with the great Johnny Winter. He's opened for Johnny Copeland, Albert Collins, Lonnie Mack, the great Rory Gallagher. Again, more than you can imagine. Has collaborated with some of this area's most wonderful and revered musicians, including Soul Roots, Tommy Lepson, Dave Chappell. He's had Andy Hamburger back there on the Skins, to name just a few. There's so many. His discography includes his own 3 CDs of his own and an EP, as well as numerous cuts on blues, compilation albums, and contributions to others. A few years back, Linwood was featured on the cover of Washington Post magazine in their story highlighting the year of the blues, as well as being honored in Living Blues magazine years ago as one of the top 40 under 40 blues guitarists. As Linwood likes to say, the blues door opened for me, and boy, did it. Thank God for that, say a lot of us and many, many of his loyal fans. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a local blues legend as well as a renowned musician all over the place, Mr. Linwood Taylor. Linwood, welcome to Living on Music. We made it.
Yeah, we did. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute thrill. Having been a part of JV's for the last 15 years, playing my own music, and knowing that your career has gone the entire length of life, and always seeing you booked in there. And I think we may have even played in front of you a couple of times. But what a thrill it is to have you on. In the last month or two that I've researched you real tight, and what you've done in this last 40, 50 some odd years you've been playing and picking up an instrument. It's an incredible ride, man. So what an honor to have you. The last 10 months, there's going to be a time when I don't have to say this to anybody, but the last 10 months has been a hit hard on both musicians and venues. How have you been doing? And have you been able to kind of keep your sanity and your musical flow going?
Yeah, I've been keeping my sanity, to say the least.
Right.
But I've been able to do a few things where, friends have been having recording projects, and I've been playing on them. A couple of videos, a couple of what do you call it, broadcast type of things.
Right.
Drive-in. I guess they're drive-ins. I've been doing a few things like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And anything else that you can kind of talk about how this has kind of gotten to you? I mean, have you been able to kind of keep it up?
I just try to do things around the house.
Yeah.
There's always things to do around the house. Whether I get to them or not, I still have some shelves to build.
Right. Right. Yeah. Have you found any new hobbies that you never had before since you've been hanging at home? Is there anything you and Judy are doing that you may not have done before?
I haven't found any new hobbies really, but I've been actually using the time to play more, and and just sort of re-energize myself to playing. Well, what can you say? You do anything often enough, you can find yourself in a rut, whether you realize it or not. So when you stop for a minute and then you kind of go, oh, I was in a rut. Now I'm not doing this. And so you go back to playing it, you have renewed energy. You know,
Right.
it's become fresh again, which is a beautiful thing.
Wow, what a wonderful tack that is, because a lot of people are doing that. A lot of the musicians I've had over the last 10 months have found other ways to enhance their music, and kind of pick up the guitar and play some other things or kind of work on it. So that's a neat element of this kind of crazy quarantining that you found. That's cool.
I would have never thought that not playing for a couple of months would have been a good thing, but it was a good thing. Now I have new energy, new things. I've learned a couple of new um, tricks, patterns, melodies, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So it's a good thing.
Oh, I love
You
that.
know,
I'm sure people are going to be stoked to see those new little things you're doing out on stage when we get back out of this thing. Um, about 3 months ago, I saw you guys did a gig at Hershey's Restaurant and Tavern in Gaithersburg. How did that come about?
um, it was warm enough. We were outdoors, and I just used Steve Wolf and Joe Wells, and we just had a good old time. You know,
That's that.
it was nice weather, and outdoors. It's pretty. You feel safe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The distancing is obvious outdoors. We played a bunch of pipe stems and stuff, and with my duo, and people are way out and kind of in their little pods and stuff like that. Well, we're gonna jump right in because I know people want to see Linwood Taylor play some guitar, and that's what we're gonna start right in with. We're going to look at a brief clip from this gig that these guys did most recently, because we're going to start recent and then delve back into the life of Linwood. This is a Freddie King song that I love. Actually came out the year I was born, 1961. It's called "I'm Tore Down." It was on Clapton's "From the Cradle." It is a blues staple. What does Freddie King mean to you? Before we see you play a little Freddie, is he one of those guys you kind of model after?
Um, I came into him sort of late, to me, sort of later than most people. The Leon Russell period, where Leon Russell produced Freddie, is where I came into Freddie, became aware of Freddie King. And in fact, the first version of the song "Going Down," which is a staple,
Yeah.
I heard Freddie King doing it, a live
Wow.
version at the Ann Arbor Blues Festival. And then
Oh,
Jeff Beck came out with his, but I know it from Freddie King.
yeah. Where you should. Yeah. And boy, I'm going down, down, down. Boy, that always
Yeah.
friggin' comes up in all the blues things that people play. Well, let's jump right into Linwood's kind of where he is most strong and loves playing. Let's go to some Freddie King. I'm Tore Down from Hershey's Restaurant about 3 months ago. Yeah, the blues is you, my friend. That is wonderful to hear you playing Freddie. And what a neat Mike and having those guys, Miles and Steve. Is are they? What part of your world are they right now? I know you've had a kind of a swath of players over the years. How do Miles and Steve fit in right now?
Oh, that was Miles. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I call, I have, like any band leader, you have a list of musicians, and you have your first crew, your second crew, your third crew, that kind of thing.
Cool.
And you just, you know, um, and Miles, I played with Miles several times during the course of a year when Joe Wells can't make it.
Right.
And and then I try to get Andy Hamburger when I can, but sometimes I can't get him. And then I have
Right.
a few other guys in the area that I call that when I but usually I'm able to book people far enough in advance, and or we have a regular gig, as it were, that we do this every month or every few weeks or whatever, that I just we just set it up so that we can do this. They're always there.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of a wonderful collaboration, Ashley Chevalier, you've played with for a number of years. And actually, I let her know that we were going to be showing this clip, and she was all excited yesterday. This is from again right before this thing hit, from the NPR Tiny Desk contest that you guys submitted to. How
Yes.
long have you known Ashley? And she seems like she's got a bit of a blues soul herself.
I've known her probably close to 10 years.
Great.
Um, I met her, um, she was doing a show where we were playing with Devon Allman. And this is when Devon Allman was in Honey Tribe before the Royal Southern Brotherhood, and now he's in the Allman Betts band.
Right. Absolutely. Oh God, that's fantastic. That's my wheelhouse is the Southern rock land. But that's great. Let's take a little delve into this a little clip from this song. This is one of Ashley's songs. That boy, you get ready for some beautiful Linwood Taylor playing on this song. I totally love it. And we can talk a little bit about this song. It relates to other songs. This is a little bit of "You Done Me Bad." I love that playing, man. That's why I put in like 3 minutes of that clip. I'm like, I just should have shown the whole song, because it's so wonderful. Now, just a little bit about style and playing. You know, there's Tore Down, which we just showed, and then there's this song that Ashley wrote. What are the differences between playing those two styles of blues and music?
Well, the on Tour Down, I'm out live and I'm trying to excite people in front of it, directly in front of me. And as I said, I'm being myself. I'm just trying to like I'm just letting it go free. Whereas with Ashley's song, I am playing it for Ashley, and I need to do that in a more controlled set way, if you will,
Right.
because A, it was being recorded, and B, you know, it has to be like perfect, and we didn't have much time to do that. So,
Right.
no mistakes.
Yeah, that's funny because I had Flo Anito and Seth Keibel on the show separately, and they both did an NPR Tiny Desk thing, and they had no time, and they just like raced into it. But God, I love the way you sounded, man. The playing is just fabulous. I can't wait to talk more about the playing part of this. We're gonna go back. Born in Fort Lee, Virginia.
Yep.
You grew up in the '60s though, out in Lanham in Maryland. Um,
Yeah, I lived in DC briefly, but
okay.
by the time I was 7, I was in Lanham.
Right. And you grew up in Lanham in a black neighborhood, but
Yep.
attended predominantly white Catholic schools. How was that experience back then at your age?
It was fine. I was too young to know anything. People liked me or they didn't like me, and it's basically I was good at sports. So as a boy, as a male, you're good at sports, then you're okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I was just curious. Your father's record collection is something that I kind of found in dabbling in my research, and it had this very eclectic mix of jazz and R&B, and that seemed to nurture your sensibilities a little bit with music.
Absolutely. Jazz, R&B, and even rock and roll. So
Right.
although sometimes it wasn't called rock and roll, there's an interesting story. If we have the time,
We sure
I'm
do.
hanging out. I'm hanging out with Lonesome Dave Previtt of Foghat. He's got a
Oh,
he's got and when he was before Foghat, he was in Savoy Brown. He's got a
right.
record collection spread out, and there's a record by Red Prysock, a sax player, called Rock and Roll. So when I'm talking to him, I said, "Man, my pops had that same record." And when I saw that on the inside of the album cover, I said, "He's got that record." I had never considered pulling it out because that was my pop's record, and I'm like, I don't want that's his record. But I kind of I went out and pulled it out. It was actually pretty good.
Oh, that's fantastic. I haven't heard Lonesome Dave Peverett's name in so long. I was a big Foghat fan, being a kid of the early '70s myself, and went and saw them at Nassau Coliseum. So what a wonderful mention of Lonesome Dave. May he rest in peace, as most of the Foghat guys, I believe, as well. You kind of began guitar playing, I think, around 10 years old. But you had a wonderful little story about an accordion, and I know you've told this to a couple of journalists before. Give us a nutshell on the accordion story.
Well, there was a guy that came around, door to door salesman. People did that back in those days.
Right.
And there was a kid in the neighborhood who played. And, he at the Cub Scout meeting, he wowed the audience with his little Lawrence Welk. And it was kind of like, basically, the guy sold my parents. Oh, it'll be easier to play guitar if he picks up accordion, you know.
I could see
I,
maybe it's
I
easier to play piano if you play accordion, but right.
Yeah, but I just kind of I was focused on guitar, and I will admit if I had known about Zydeco music, I would have probably been more interested in it, but
Right.
we're too far north for that.
Right, exactly. Around 1969, I think it was, give or take, you were about 14. You started playing electric guitar. What prompted that kind of change into the guitar, maybe even the electric guitar? I know Jimmy had to be part of it. Who else, what other people kind
Well,
of were your influences at that age?
well, the last 2 years of elementary school, the teachers actually played guitar, and over half the students played guitar, of
Wow.
all to varying degrees.
Right.
But at the time, I always wanted an electric, but because of my lack of interest with the accordion, my parents got me an acoustic, and I never, I didn't really delve into it too hard. But after Jimi Hendrix passed, I washed cars, mowed lawns, and got my money together to go up to Chuck's and buy my Fender Bronco, which I still have.
Oh, oh, that's fantastic. And rock and roll was kind of an impetus, really part of
For
pushing
sure.
you kind of along here with little Clapton, a little Cream, maybe even some Zeppelin stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was the era of rock. Rock guitar is a rock, well, excuse me, rock music is a guitar driven type of music. And so that was the initial thing. And the older I got, the more I was exposed with or rather presented with opportunities to just play guitar, period. So,
Right.
whatever it was, folk, country, R&B, and of course blues, because much of the rock and roll of the era was actually founded on blues. If it wasn't just blues played louder and faster.
Right. And you're um, kind of a not ambidextrous, but you go back and forth on different things that you do between playing guitar and doing other things. So you're kind of this ambidextrous mix.
Well, that was only on the basketball court. That no, I started playing guitar left-handed,
Oh,
but I injured a finger, and while it was healing, I fortunately switched to right-handed and never looked back.
oh wow. Well, did you start playing left because of Jimmy, or did you
That
just
was
decide that?
probably part of it.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I'm certain that was part of it, but that was not the, you know, I do some things left-handed, I do some things right-handed. It's kind of mixed up
No, that's
because
great.
I mean, back in those days, if you started writing left-handed, they would smack you on the hand and make you write right-handed.
I know. What is that all about? It's like, don't be a southpaw. Bank. I was like, that's
And
that's 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 amazing.
and and you see the many of our presidents were lefties,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. In the '70s, Linwood, teen bands, house parties. The late '70s, you were in some college bands. I think you mentioned you went down to North Carolina A&T and opened for Funkadelic in a band. That must have been
Sure,
kind of a
sure.
fun thing. Pre George Clinton, I think you said, but
No,
um,
no, no.
or post.
Pre-parliament.
Right. Oh,
You
that's
know,
right. Pre Parliament.
soon afterwards, they were Parliament Funkadelic. But even though they were always the same musicians and singers, it's just what got featured was different.
Right. Exactly. In your 20s, you worked some construction, some other jobs. You were
In my
a
teens too.
You were a jacket and tie man, and I don't know if every fan of yours knows this, that you did have a job at one point. Shh,
Don't say
that
that.
was,
Don't say that. Don't say that. Ruin my image.
yeah, I don't think so. Nothing's going to ruin your
Ruin
image.
my image.
But it was at Coca-Cola for a while, and I think the routine just kind of worn you down like it does many people, right?
Less than a year. I just kind of went, I don't want to be an old man and wish I had tried.
Right, exactly. That's great, and thank God you did. You jumped out of that life. What happened after that series of time? Was that the time when you decided to focus your energies on playing full time and then even becoming a band leader?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I was already trying to play full time, but I just kind of just lost it, and I this was not for me. And I left, and excuse me, I left,
Mhm.
and of course, I fumbled around for a while. I mean, I did stage hands. The craziest thing was I was security for Louise Mandrell.
Oh my God! Wow,
Barbara Mandrell's younger sister.
sister.
Okay, and at some kind of country fair in Virginia, I was this, I was security, and basically I was a stagehand, and myself, and this is kind of weird, but myself and another brother. We were the only brothers in the whole area, except for one other guy who was in the lighting crew, which I didn't find out until later. So they got us to be security in front of Louise's bus.
Oh my God, that is classic.
Now,
Wow.
now, and mind you, I'm about 10 pounds less than I am now. Okay. But I'm security.
Right, right. You were like, "Are
I'm
you sure you want me here?"
exactly, exactly. And the other guy, I'm sorry, he was a tad overweight.
Oh my God.
It was almost a black Laurel and Hardy.
Right, I was gonna say. Oh my
I'm,
God. Yeah, that
I
what a
mean,
what a
I mean, sadly, it says a lot about people's mentality in this country, but
right.
really, that's what happened. I mean, I'm laughing at it because it's totally ridiculous. It's ludicrous. And
Yeah.
I don't mean the rapper. I mean, it's like ridiculous. But hey, that was the gig. That's what I did. You know, I got paid.
Right,
And
exactly.
it was a family kind of country fair thing. So I had, you know, there was not going to be any trouble.
Right. Nobody was charging Louise's bus. Right, but
Exactly. It's not like doing the same gig, which I did at David Allen Co., where you have outlaw biker kind of guys, you know, and
oh.
but I'm part of the stagehand, you know, and the bikers were cool. It's
Right.
the police weren't. So, you know,
Yeah, there you go.
it
But
just
that's
was ridiculous.
yeah, there's a statement right there that makes sense. In the mid '80s, we were talking in our one of our pre-meetings, and I love this. We're at the Gentry, one of legendary club that a number of my guests have played at and mentioned. It's wonderful, and it was a blues jam, and you were going to get booked for a festival or another gig, or you were there to get booked for a gig. And Cesar Diaz,
Well,
talk
yeah,
about that story,
actually,
how it became the Linwood Taylor Band.
it Sia Shad, who owned the Gentry, was promoting a show at the Saba Club, which
Okay.
became the Roxy or something. Had a couple of names right there on the little triangle at 18th, just north of M Street, right before it hit Connecticut Avenue to us Washingtonians. And
Right.
he asked me if I had a band, and I said, of course, lied and said yes. So I had a band, and we were opening for Lonnie Mack, and
Right.
you know, I was going to, you know, call it the Big Tones, and that's another story involving Stevie Ray. But I was
Right.
calling it the Big Tones, and and Lonnie is promoting the album that Stevie Ray produced and played on. And before I could, you know, when Sia asked what's the name of the band, and I was going to say the Big Tones, but Cesar Diaz literally put his hand over my mouth and said, "It's the Linwood Taylor Band," and I kind of went,
Wow.
and I was upset because it's like all the people playing with me were way more experienced than I
Right.
was, you know,
Right.
and I thought that was an affront to their, you know, experience and my inexperience. But it was too late. It was done, and to this day, I am grateful that he called it the Linwood Taylor Band.
Right. Well, and it's funny. I had Daryl Jr. Klein on last show, and he was a young guy, might have been around the same time as for him as you. And he joined with Rusty Bogart, and they named it Junior Klein and the Recliners. And he was like, "Wait a minute, what?" You know, and boom, they've been together 40 years. So it's kind of a similarity between good names for bands at the
Oh
beginning
yeah,
of career. I love
oh
that.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Around 1985, you did a show with Brooksy Wells and Interrobang with Johnny Castle. That seemed like that was a kind of an early instrumental gig for you, or something that you remember.
Well, it was actually more of a recording.
Okay.
That was what that was. We didn't
Okay.
play out live a whole lot, but
Okay.
you know, that was a recording that Johnny Castle played bass on, and we won a home tape recording. They had local bands send in tapes and what have you, and we were runner up.
Oh, and was that W? What was that W? What did you say that was? Not WTO.
DC 101.
BC 101. Oh, I love
DC
that.
101, and we recorded at Q Studio when it was still in the basement of the guy's house, the guy's parents' house. That's how long ago it was, and uh,
Wow.
and you know, so we did that, and what we wound up doing was going up to the warehouse in Philadelphia, which was a major big time recording studio, that I believe the uncle of Bon Jovi owned or ran or something like that. I mean, it's all, this is whatever it was, 35, 36 years ago. It's all a little fuzzy.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. 1990-ish. Bad Brains did a little Bad
No,
Brains. What?
I recorded on HR's solo album. HR was the
Wow.
lead singer of the Bad Brains.
Yeah.
Um, and I recorded on his solo album, which was also recorded at Q, but he had moved to the nice facility where they are now.
Right.
And we did that, and I had played a gig with them, and it was all an interesting experience, especially since I had actually seen the Bad Brains in the late '70s at Oddfellows Lounge in Baltimore.
Wow.
And when I
And
told HR I saw you guys there, his jaw dropped. He was stunned. He says, "You were there at the beginning."
tell me a little bit about the evolution as you got more into the Linwood Taylor band type world that you now are still in and succeeding at.
Well, actually, that was opening for Johnny. That was actually at the Gentry. That was the first famous person I'd ever played in
Oh,
front
wow.
of, and I hadn't even really called it the Linwood Taylor Band at that point. But I
Wow.
opened. Phil Wiggins actually played harmonica with me, played
Oh,
harp with me on that, and
wow.
we played with Johnny. But it started to go around, and I started to go around to and I've always kind of done this. I'd go to every blues show that was coming through town if I wasn't working elsewhere, and which is how I met and played with many, many, many people, including
Uh,
Joe, including Joe Lewis Walker and Luther Allison and Johnny Copeland, Albert Collins. I mean, it just goes
oof.
on and on. Sun Seals. I just met all these guys. I would just go and hang out with them.
Wow. And that was a lot of the music that you were playing in those days with those guys and in and out. And was that the traditional blues? Had you started to kind of wanted to get your own, again, experiment with different kind of blues styles, or where were you with your playing at that point?
I would say I was still in a developmental stage, and I would say now I'm still in a developmental stage.
Perfect.
Or
Right.
I should say an evolutionary stage is probably a better expression.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know,
You had, yeah, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just tried to develop, and I'm still I take this lick from this guy and take this lick from that guy and do them incorrectly, so it actually comes out being more me, or put them together in a different way or whatever. I'm just still trying to figure it out
Oh
in
yeah.
in
Well,
many ways. You know,
that's pretty humble, my friend, after watching you play for the last month. Yeah, I mean, that's neat that you're continuing to kind of develop even in this amazing form that you were in. You recorded 3 albums and an EP, I get over the course of a number of years. First one was live at Colonial Seafood. Um,
hmm
that was a Fredericksburg restaurant, I guess, in the early
yes.
'90s. You recently started, or not recently, but a little while ago, you reissued the record, I guess, didn't you?
Yeah, a few years ago, I found a way of utilizing technology to enhance the recording of it, and I just put it out again, and in a that because at the time that was a cassette only, so that shows you
Oh,
how long ago that was. But
right.
I went from that and I re-recorded it and I don't know what you would say. We tweaked it and put it out on CD. So I, put that out again.
And that was live. Then your second record, I
Yes,
believe, "Take This and Stay Out of Trouble," was
was
another
also
live.
live.
What were some of the locations where that was recorded?
To be honest, I can't remember.
But
it, it
it
was,
was a bunch of DC area venues, right?
oh yeah, yeah. That most are I'm sure all of them are no longer in existence as a music venue. But I
Right.
did that. I found the name to be kind of interesting, but I'm not going to put it out there for that.
Oh, and your third album was studio. So was that your
Yes.
first attempt at playing studio? And I know that you were deviating a little from some of the normal patterns and playing a little around. Talk about some of that album and how that came about and what your mindset was.
Well, I did that at the great Tim Beery's studio,
Mhm.
who's a legendary drummer for Danny Gatton, Deanna Bogart, Frank Marino, and Mahogany Rush.
Yeah.
You know, and he has a great ear, and he helped me do that and getting my tones and that kind of thing. And
Uh,
that was I missed him. He's moved a little too far west,
right.
but you know, but he helped me get that. And basically, um, I had a conversation with Johnny Copeland where, he said, yeah, when you could really make money off of your publishing and what have you. So I focused more on writing songs, which I have been doing now, during this pandemic, to write songs, that kind of thing.
Oh,
And
that's
so I
great.
started to do that. And of course, in the standard blues tradition, you do someone else's song, but you make it your own. You do a different arrangement, a different feel, tempo, key, what have you, because it's already been done before.
Right. I heard that. That's not unusual that we hear things in the background. I love that. I was telling you that I had Patty Reese on with her phone and it fell over backwards. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
everybody okay over there? Muddy the dog.
Oh
We
yeah, yeah.
saw Linwood's dog jumping in during our setup, and boy, what a wonderful dog. We're gonna show some pictures of Muddy during the show, of course. Wanted to play a little bit of a cut from Make Room for Paying Customers. Or for the paying customer. This is a cool song that you did on this record. It's called Don't Diss Me.
I beg your pardon. Don't talk to me that way. I didn't stutter. You better hear every word I say. I ain't the kind of man that's got to be the boss. But I ain't the kind of man that you ever want to cross. Don't diss me, baby. Don't talk to me that way. There ain't no future in it, and you best be minding what you say. Don't raise your voice to me. Don't even raise your hand. Whatever kind of fools you used to, I ain't that kind of man. I ain't like nobody that you have ever seen. My picture's in the dictionary, right next to the word mean. Don't diss me, baby. Don't even talk to me that way. There ain't no future in it, and you best be minding what you say.
Yeah, Linwood, you can really sense that you were kind of getting your own style, and you said you've continued to write music, since then and over the years. Has that been a fruitful pursuit for you? Have you felt like it's come along where you wanted it to go and is continuing?
Yeah, well, yeah, it goes where it goes. I mean, you kind of just let it go where it goes. It's like water, it's going to seek its own level. It's going to run where it's going to run. I mean, you can't really force it.
2001, as we got into the new century. You did a 9/11
Ooh.
tribute. Talk a little bit about that. It was with two of the area's legendary musicians, and how did that come about?
I got a call from Tom Principato to do this with Deanna Bogart. It was actually really nice. It was fun to work with it, you know. And actually, what's really crazy is that when 9/11 happened, I was in Hong Kong on stage on what was
Oh,
originally supposed to be my last night in Hong Kong. I wound up
oh,
staying an extra 10 days.
oh, that's intense. What a place to be during all that happening here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Wow. And you had no choice to fly back for a little while, right? Yeah.
Oh,
And-
yeah. A friend of ours gave me the number of the president of an airline company to try to get a ticket out. Well, I called him in Hong Kong. I woke him up because he was stuck in New York City
Oh,
and he
wow. That's
lived in Hong
intense.
Kong. I mean,
Wow.
I dialed the Hong Kong number and he was stuck in New York. So that
Oh,
was it. I just had to wait.
wow. That's amazing. And in 2003, pretty cool honor. And you say you just got a call about it. It was for a Year of the Blues edition of the Washington Post magazine. I love the cover. It's a wonderful look, and and the quote was, "But Linwood Taylor agrees that you've still got to suffer to sing the blues." I love that copy. How did that come about?
um, that was a call out of the blue from Carlo Rotella, and it was good. You know, it was a great thing. I loved it. You know,
Yeah, that's
um, I as I said, it was just a call out of the blue for me, and I said, well, of course, I'd love to do it. You know,
right.
um, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's not much I can say. It's like lightning. You know, they had that Martin Scorsese movie Lightning in a Bottle. Well, this was lightning from above. It came down and hit me. It was great.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. That must have been a neat bit of exposure for you, though, because you can't beat that kind of awareness for your what you were doing. And sometime around the late 2000 first decade, around
Oh,
2008.
can I
Yes,
really say something? It
yes.
was really it was when that came out, it was a lot of fun in the barbershop because people knew me at the barbershop and the gym because people knew me. I was just the quiet brother. And all of a sudden they see that, they go, wait a minute, that's that guy. It was hilarious.
They're like, "Wow, he really is on the cover of this." Oh, that's
It
fun.
no, it was like my anonymity was blown.
Right. Yep. There you go. Well, that's what levels of fame does. The quiet and anonymity. Um, in the late around the late first decade of the 2000s, around 2008, you met Joe Louis Walker, and you guys formed a bond that lasted a few years, and then later
To
on
this to this day.
to this day. Well, how
To
did
this
that
day.
begin?
Well, I actually met Joe in the late 80s. Okay. And when he would come around in the early 90s, I would come. And in fact, Joe invited me as his guest to the Kennedy Center Honors in 1995
Ooh.
because they were honoring B.B. King. And
Oh,
what I remembered most was I'm in the green room. I've got Walter Cronkite, Ed Bradley, Lou Gossett Jr., Bonnie Raitt. There's another actress who's got a show, just had a show on CBS or something. Steve Martin, Bill
oh,
Clinton, and I'm standing next to Steve Cropper and we're talking. And I'm like,
oh,
man, we're like, whoa, man, look at this. Look at who's in the room with us. I mean, even Steve
oh,
Cropper was like, man, look at this. And
oh.
uh, it was just, BB King, and it was totally cool. I've known Joe since the, late 80s, but I would just come to the shows, like I said, and listen to him and sit in, whatever.
Right, and then it kind of developed where you guys. When did he have ask you to kind of come on tour?
Well, that was in the sort of like spring of 80, no, spring of '08. You know,
Right.
I had run into Joe like the year before, and then you know, like I went and saw him perform and sat in with him up in Delaware, and let's see, and he was actually playing at the old Chick Hall Surf Club the day before, and I just came by, and we remade our acquaintances because you know he hadn't seen me for a while. He had been living in abroad for a bit. So I you know I met him, and then I went out with him in the summer of '88.
Oh, wow. So around 2008, you guys, did you do a European tour?
Yeah, yeah. They were European tours
Oh,
multiple
wow.
times. You know, I'm trying to think. France, Belgium, Italy. Um, I can't. I went. The only I can. It's easier to say the places I didn't make it to. Spain and England. I mean,
Whoa.
everywhere else. Yeah.
Wow. And what was that like for you at that time in your life and career? Was it a kind of a new dawn on your musical experience?
Yes, in many ways, because it was cool. I had to play once again. Playing for someone else is very different than playing for yourself.
Right.
You know, because you're subjugating yourself to someone else to cover their needs versus you're doing what you feel, and
Right.
which is fine. But for me, once again, I learned a whole lot listening to Joe and playing with him every, you know, on stage. Plus, I had to become a better musician. I mean, I've never sung background before. I got to sing background now, you know,
Wow.
and you know, my voice is not the most tuneful, you know, but I can get away with the Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan speaking type of thing, the Albert King thing. But
Right.
I had to be a lot more tuneful with Joe. Plus, I played a lot of things that I missed growing up. Gospel music. I mean, growing up Catholic, you don't have the black church, which many black artists come from. So I didn't get that experience, but I had to immerse myself in that and try to pick up what I could quickly. Emphasis
What?
on quickly.
Right. I
To
bet. Grab
you know,
grab it. Well, and as much as you got these various experiences like playing gospel and things like that and kind of background singing, it also gave you a chance to kind of reevaluate who you were and the fact that playing with other people is great, but your own accomplishments might supersede that.
well, I don't know if it would supersede that. It it's just different. That's all. Is the
Right.
way I would put it. It's simply a different experience, and it's not so much a better than or worse than. You know, it's not so quantitative. It's more, you know, it's qualitative, if you know, if you will. You know, it's like okay, I've learned this experience. What did I gain from this? You know, how can I improve my you know situation, if you will, you know, and my abilities from what I learned from this, and it's great. It's all a learning experience, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're going to take a quick look at your a moment with you and Joe Louis Walker. This was at a place called Chan's in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, which is
Woonsocket.
which is an interesting. I know
The food is
Woonsocket.
great.
I'm
Chinese
a
food is great.
nice. I'm a New Englander and know Woonsocket pretty well. This is a song from up in again from Rhode Island, Linwood, and in about 2010 with Joe Louis Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, that must have been I think you got to look back on that moment, and you say you still know Joe, and that must have been a great experience though at that point in your career to kind of play with him, go to Europe, and kind of get another taste of music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, I love it. As I said, I went a couple of times after that. In fact, I went to Australia with him 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. You guys came back. There was a little bit of an interesting parting. I think he said, how did the relationship kind of stop in 2010?
Well, he just changed bands.
Okay.
Band leaders do that.
Yep.
So, that's fine. It was fine. I keep in touch. And I guess I just talked to him the other day. So,
Wow.
that was actually cool. But we went to Australia 2 years ago, played at the Byron Bay Blues Festival, and which was really great. The Wailers were on the bill.
Oh,
Eric Gales, the Wailers. Um, let's see, and Donald Kinsey was in the Wailers as
oh.
well as Junior Marvin. I mean, I saw Junior Marvin. The last time I saw him was at the Trader Joe's on Columbia Pike.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
wild.
but Government Mule was there, and Robert
Oh,
Plant was there, Lauryn Hill, Walter Trout.
wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is like the biggest music festival in Australia.
Wow. Walter Trout's something else. I got to interview him not long ago, and another amazing player. You have two of the two aspects of your playing are playing guitar is huge, and singing. You've developed the
Mhm.
singing over the years. You made a reference a little while ago that you can sing the basic stuff. How is your? I love there was a quote in one piece, and it might have been the one from the Washington Post, but they talked a little bit about the call to sing the blues goes to the heart of the music because the genre's seemingly inexhaustible power comes primarily from the stories it tells. And even the most guitar obsessed noodler must concede that and refer back to the human voice singing. Did you find as you were going along that singing, kind of needed to be a staple of your career if you wanted to be the Linwood Taylor band?
Well, absolutely. Here was the thing. I had been playing in rock bands that went nowhere, and we didn't find dare I say, the next Robert Plant. So,
Right.
but I figured out quickly by going to blues jams that if you played guitar alone, you got one song. If you could sing, you could get two or three songs, or maybe more. So I started to sing there, just simply as a way to gain more stage time. But as I continued to play, I just continued to develop my voice as much as possible.
And you had a voice teacher for a while, Allison Ledbetter Hines. Did she was that a helpful part of kind of learning some different cognizance of your voice?
Extremely helpful.
Wow.
She helped me with by actually giving me classical technique as what she told me. I learned to control my breathing, improve my breathing, and how to use my diaphragm. Which you hear people say use your diaphragm, but most have no clue as to
Right.
how to use their diaphragm because they're not really in touch with that portion of their body, with that muscle. It's a muscle, and you learn how to use it, which is what Allison did for me. One of the things she did for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, as a 15-year lead singer in some of these local bands, I got a nodule on my vocal cord about a year and a half ago. I was actually singing at JVs with my full band, and I couldn't sing at the beginning of the gig. And Lorraine will never forget it, and I'm sure Judy, if she was there, remembers it. Where right off the top, and I couldn't sing, and I had to go get voice therapy. And one of the things I learned was diaphragmatic singing, where you're basically breathing out and in, and it just really it's helped me in my own little midlife cover band world, let alone your lifetime musician world. It really is an interesting part of learning different things about singing and things like that. And I know I've heard that from a number of guests too on the show. This is a great moment. It's got shining Linwood Taylor guitar, but it's also got some really fun vocals. It's at a place called the La Hinch Tavern in Potomac,
Yes.
Maryland. Anything you can remember about the La Hinch or this gig? It was, I think, not that long ago. I think a year or so ago.
Yeah, I remember the venue. I love the venue. I'm not sure if it's going to still be there
Right.
for somebody. They're building townhouses, like almost $1 million townhouses. Literally, it's going to be across the street where there used to be a parking lot. So,
Oh,
you know, so you
yeah.
know, they I guarantee you those individuals don't want a rock and music band playing across the street.
Right. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We're going to go to the La Hinch and see Linwood dazzle us a little bit with not only his guitar but with some pipes.
What can a man do? When the blues keeps on following him around. What can a man do, y'all? Well, when the blues keeps on following him around. Himself a guy with good whiskey. Oh, sit back and drink a while. I used to have you a good woman. Well, she gave me all the money, love, and everything. I used to have a good woman. Well, she gave me all the money, love, and everything, yeah. Well, you know, I fell down on the job. And she put me down for my very best friend.
Yeah, I mean, you get the sense of Linwood Taylor in that song to me. You get a sense of the wonderful, versatile playing of the guitar and also the singing. Tell me a little bit about Linwood, about the guitar influences you over the years, maybe the ones that we talked a little bit about back when, about Jimmy and things like that. But if how did it kind of develop over time? Did you go back and listen to more of the legends, some people in the future? Maybe, I mean, how has the guitar influences been towards for your career as you've gone along?
I would have to say it basically I would say it's sponge like, whatever, whatever style. Um, to be honest, one of the most amazing things I heard was, back in the 80s, I believe I got this cassette from Tom. It was Jimi Hendrix playing at Woodstock, and this was some material that had not been released, but Jimmy literally went through every single genre of music, including flamenco and classical style, all the way up to Wes Montgomery type stuff, which actually made it on the recording. And
Wow.
it was like my jaw just dropped. So I love everything. And in fact, my most favorite compliment about my guitar playing came from Bill Kirchen of
Oh,
Commander Cody,
yeah,
and and fame and Too Much Fun fame.
sure.
We were doing a song. I remember it. It's 8 Days on the Road or something like that. And we're doing that song, and he's trying to explain that it's an A, but it's not like. I said, that's okay, Bill, I can do this, you know. And he was like, oh, okay. So we start playing the song, and he throws it to me, and I start playing, and at the end he goes, Linwood, I believe you got some hillbilly in you.
Oh my God. That's great. I mean, speaking of local legends that have been around forever, yeah, Bill's something else. We've got a couple tasty little clips here that I've loved. One of them is just a song that I just love, the little dabbling and the way you're playing on it and the way you're singing a little bit too. It's from the Old Bowie Town Grill, which is a place that I saw that you played quite often through the years. It's a song by Buddy Guy. But my favorite version, I think, probably is Stevie Ray's version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. I just love the way the band kind of is tight to this. Let's jump to the Old Bowie Town Grill and watch Linwood rock a little bit of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Yeah, that's fun, man. You really rip it up. I love some of that playing, and of course, it's such a fun song that Buddy wrote. People are always like, "How did he come up with a song based on an old nursery rhyme?" And boy, it's ended up being a real fun blues song, right? I mean, again, Stevie Ray for you has to be somebody that kind of lives in your heart and soul.
Well, for me, Stevie was a real guy because thanks to once again to Cesar Diaz, I met Stevie. Hung out with him.
Wow. When was that, Linwood? Around when?
This was in the February of '83 because he told us before his first album was released that he was going to be on the new David Bowie album.
Oh God, that's right. And it was China Girl, or was it?
The album was Let's Dance.
Yeah, that's right. I can't believe he was on that to begin with. You have another song that I love that shows your versatility, and it's another guy that I'm sure you revere, who I believe just passed away, Peter Green, who really was somebody that people like us who are deeply kind of ensconced in music and stuff like that know that Fleetwood Mac was not always Lindsey and Stevie. It actually began with Mick and John and the amazing, just almost unparalleled talent of Peter Green. This is a song that a lot of people know, and it's "Oh Well," which you just have, speaking of your vocals, having some fun too. But I just love how you're tickling along with this. This is at the Elks Lodge. And was this in Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah. That was the blues festival. I'm trying to think. The Roots and Blues Music Festival.
Oh, great.
That was that was 2 weeks before I went to Australia.
Oh God. Well, yeah, some little tasty warm-ups here. Here's a little bit of Linwood Taylor doing a Peter Green classic, a little bit of "Oh Well."
Nah, that ain't happening. Can't help but shake my leg, can't stand it, my legs are dead. Don't ask me what I'm thinking of you, I might not get there, so that's a moment too.
God, I love that, and I love the way you tickle that guitar with that song. And that's one of Peter's, most well-known songs, and he's probably got dozens that people haven't heard and are so fabulous. Peter Green, what a legend.
Well,
Any thoughts about Peter, Linwood?
Well, he's probably one of the reasons many of us want to play a Les Paul. Although I'm thinking this, from what I remember, the show that what you just played, I'm playing a Flying V, but Joe knew Peter. And Joe, I believe, played on one of Peter Green's albums, and Peter played on one of Joe's albums, I believe.
Wow! Oh my
And
God! Yeah,
I know we do a Peter Green song in Joe's set.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, we do a couple of them.
I would.
In fact,
I would. Please.
No, I was just going to say, I think we used to end the show. You're gonna like it this way. And Joe and I would like do the guitar trade-off thing, which is actually people would go nuts over that.
Oh yeah, I bet. Being in this area, in the last 10 months, I've just had the, ultimate privilege and joy to interview some of these people that you've collaborated with, have played with over the years. It is, just in a nutshell, tell me what your thoughts are on the DC area music community. It's pretty unbelievable. I don't know a lot of areas in the United States that would really rival the incredible bunch of musicians that are in this area, and that you've played with many of them.
I guess I don't want to say I take it for granted or that I'm comfortable with it, but I have been aware of the musical talent in this area most of my life. From Rory Clark, people remember from Hee Haw, but he was from this area, to Zappa, Joan Jett at various points in their lives lived in the area. My neighbor 3 houses down from me was Herb of Peaches and Herb, growing up as a kid. So, there's just tons of great music in the area, and I guess people just aren't aware of it, or the thing is, it's DC, and people, go, even Bo Diddley lived in DC for a while in the early 60s.
Right. Marvin Gaye. It's just, it kind of, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how, your name has come up during some shows, especially the one with Soul Roots. We're going to take a quick look. My guest next Monday is Jan Zukowski from the Nighthawks, who actually left the band prior to this clip, but was there for 40 years and was an instrumental part of, not only played with Hendrix and did some studio cuts with Hendrix, but played Live Aid and a bunch of things. But this is with the Nighthawks a few years after Jan left the band.
I've known Jan since I was a teenager.
Oh God!
We were in the room at the cellar door, with Muddy Waters.
Oh God! Isn't that amazing? I had no idea. Oh, that is classic. Well, that's what's wonderful. Here's a clip, again, with the Nighthawks from Sunset Grill, the legendary Sunset Grill. My band, Hey Would You, actually got to play, I think, the second or third last gig there. And what a legendary, small, little, sweet venue in Falls Church in Annandale. This is, talk about blues. You don't get more deeper blues than this song. It's Hoochie Coochie Man. And let's take a little look at Linwood and the Nighthawks.
Just a woman told my mother before I was born, you got a boy child coming, don't be a son of a gun. Oh, I had you here with me now. jumping and shouting, then the world wanna know what it's all about. Everybody knows I'm here. Well, I am a good man. Oh, well, goes out there. Well, on the 7th month, we're now on the 7th day. Oh, the 7th hour. Oh, 7 doctors say that I was born with good luck. That you all will see. I've got $7,000. Don't so special to me. Oh, I know. Everybody knows I'm here.
Yeah, that is the deep blues and playing with the Nighthawks, a little wonderful harp on that. You have a little anecdote about the Nighthawks too, that they treated you damn well.
Yeah. They were always very nice to me and always very polite. You know, which was great to a young guy who was still trying to like get into the music scene. And in fact, one time I had a falling out with the guys who were playing with me. We were supposed to open for the Nighthawks at the Twist and Shout, and the band didn't show up. My band didn't, so they said, "Well, we'll back you up."
Oh God, that must have been incredible though to have the Nighthawks playing with you like that too. I mean, that must have been really kind of an amazing thing. And
Oh
then
yeah,
they
that,
went
that
out
was
and
back in the
played.
'80s.
Oh,
Yeah, that was back in the '80s. You know.
Well, it just shows, Linwood, too. Again, you're one of those people that people love collaborating with. So that clip we just showed was like 2010. So, that's like 20, 30 years later, you guys still are able to kind of hook up. Speaking of hooking up, around 2015, I guess it was one of a couple of shows you've done with the amazing Ronnie Newmeyer and Chuck Sullivan and Dave Sless and Daniel Schwartz and Greg Harden, who run Bandhouse gigs. Ronnie is, of course, the captain of the ship. Was it the same kind of story that Ronnie? I've asked everybody this question, and I swear it's almost the same answer each time. It's like, "Yep, called me up, said want to play." Is that what happened with the Jimmy show?
Absolutely, it's great.
And did he give you that? Did he pick the song for you, or did you throw out a couple of ideas?
Well, "Can You See Me" is one I threw out, and "Belly Button Window" was one he put out, because the idea was to make sure not everyone did, because otherwise everyone's going to pick the same songs, and so this way you got Jimmy, but you got some different Jimmy, which is cool.
Yeah. No, I love that. When I was doing Bowie, he asked me to sing "Ashes to Ashes" and "Blue Jean," and I was like, "Oh, I want to do "Rebel Rebel" in my back of my mind, or like "Changes," or one of the ones that everybody knows. And it ended up being an incredible experience for me as well. Well, we're gonna go to Bandhouse Gigs, the wonderful Fillmore, where the Bowie tribute was what I sang, and a lot of Ronnie shows are at the Fillmore. This is again from around 2015, and a little Jimi Hendrix, Linwood Taylor, "Can You See Me?"
One, the only Linwood Taylor. Can you see it? Climb on to the beat. Can you see it, baby? Climb down on my knee. Hey! If you can see it, know that you can. It's your future of 1,000 years. Can you hear me, baby? Cry 'cause you're coming down. Yeah. Can you hear me, baby? Cry all over town. Hey! If you can hear me, know that you can. You're afraid you're coming from 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that must have been fun though, Linwood. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're playing a a wide swath of not only your music but stuff, and to be able to get up and play a little Jimmy must be fun. What does his music do for you when you're up playing it? What is the extra kind of little pizzazz that Hendrix's music gives you?
Um, it's just things. It's something I grew up with right from the beginning. Is all I can say. For me. It was inspirational. After seeing a bunch of Rolling Stones, Beatles, Paul Revere and the Raiders. Yeah, remember them?
Yeah.
The Kinks. But then to see Jimi Hendrix come up, oh yeah, check it out. It was just cool.
Man. That's fantastic. Another relationship you've had with local musicians, and we're talking about other guys too, like Tommy Lepson, who I swear every single guest, I mean, except maybe 3, have collaborated with Tommy, recorded with Tommy from way back. I mean, talk a little bit about Tommy Lepson and playing with him a little bit, because he is an institution around here.
Well, it actually was great. It's an honor, and he's helping me out on a new recording that we still have to finish. It's sort of like kind of slowed down, but I'm
Right.
starting to get myself, shall we say, geared up to finishing this project. Just to have it finished, because Tommy's gracious enough to help me out, and and even write some help me write some songs on this new recording, which is great.
Oh, that's
I,
fantastic. Yeah, he seems
and
like he's just he's kind of multiply across the areas of songwriting, performing, producing some stuff in the studio. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been seeing Tommy for years, since way back, even pre-Root Boy days, when he was still doing things with Catfish Hodge back
Oh,
in the
God.
70s.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, you seem to really, your relationships with these people go way back. It seems like they've been a long time coming. You have a wonderful relationship, collaborative relationship with Soul Roots, who I've had on about 2 months ago. What a great, sweet guy, and what another amazing player and singer and songwriter. And JV's is one of your staples. You guys are playing there in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Yep.
Lorraine, how is
the 23rd?
how
The
does it feel?
23rd of January.
You bet.
Got to
Saturday
put that
the
out there.
23rd.
Saturday.
You bet. Well, we'll show the poster for sure if we haven't already here. How has it been playing in brief during this time out live? I know Lorraine has to be very careful. There's parameters and protocol. How is it playing out for you? Does it still give you a little bit of a charge, at least playing out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as a music professor back in the day said, playing is a skill, and any skill that you have to maintain it by using it, or you
Right.
lose it. And this is a way for me to at least maintain some things, so at least to keep a certain level of it available, as opposed to, letting it all kind of atrophy. And then, now you got to work it back up, sort of like sports,
Yeah, totally understand that. I had to sing so bad. I was dying inside. And my partner, Suzanne, who's a classically trained clarinetist, picked up an acoustic guitar for basically the first time. And we've been created the Greek and the Freak. And we've been playing for 10 months and doing pipe stem gigs and live gigs. And it's just been, I mean, you have to keep doing it because you will tend to, kind of atrophy in and want to kind of get it out of you. There's a wonderful clip shot by the wonderful Sandy Redmond, who has got to be one of the most in the mix musical folks in the entire area. Goes and shoots video. It seems like she's at every gig that I go to ever. It's just an incredible lady. She shot you guys playing JVs. Again, everybody with JVs behind me. This is a wonderful song by Al Green. And it's got soul and Linwood on it, and it's a little bit of love and happiness.
Hey,
You can really, Linwood, you can tell there's a chemistry there. How did that develop, your relationship with Soul? How long have you known him? And then, to have two guys playing like this together a lot, and it means that there's something good going on.
It is amazing. I don't even remember. It's just like Soul was around and we sat in and we started doing some things, and we used to do some things at the church, that came about, and it's like, it was really good. It was amazing. And then we just started to try to do it. Now we're trying to do a lot more things together. Hopefully 2021 will allow us to do that.
Yeah, that's neat. He was talking about some church related stuff, and what a neat way to do that. About a year ago, I think it was, probably a little less than a year before the pandemic hit, or you played the Silver Spring, Maryland Blues Fest. There's some really fun stuff, some clips galore in there. But a guy on YouTube known as I Am Donkster recorded this, and it is a wonderful kind of a overview of some of your highlights from that. Is that something that you've played often, the Silver Spring Blues Fest?
Just the one time a couple of years ago.
Oh, cool. Well, perfect. This is a little overview of Linwood Taylor and his wonderful dynamic presence at the Silver Spring Blues Fest. I think people wouldn't forget your presence at that festival. That sounds like that was a really, really fun experience to do. And, again, hopefully, you probably would have played there this year when they, you never know. Linwood Taylor, I've been wanting to meet and get to know you a little bit for many years, and to be able to sit and actually have a conversation about your life and career has been an absolute joy, man. You and I do share one thing in our life, and it is behind me, the amazing Lorraine Campbell's joint JVs. And I know that there are a lot of people who play there of different kind of experience and things like that. And I know that Lorraine and the crew there and everybody who goes loves the fact that you play JVs. What is the one thing, other than your wife's marriage to JVs in a lot of ways? What is the thing about JVs you think that kind of just kind of gives you some warmth in your soul and heart?
It's a comfortable place to play. The food is good. No, but it's a,
Fish tacos,
it's
fish
fun.
tacos.
I like the shrimp kebabs.
There you go. I mean, boy, well, this is a commercial, which it should be. And I know that Lorraine's been, again, like so many of the venues, has been hurting. And a number of my live outdoor gigs, we've tried to do some deliveries and had, like, I think Judy might have come and delivered food one time. I know Lisa did, and people like that. But it is a special place, and I hopefully within that. I had a gig there booked on February 6th, my 15th anniversary gig with my band Second Wind, and we had to pull out, not necessarily because of the COVID as much as it is because of one of our band members got pretty ill over the course of the last year. But again, what a wonderful place to play. What a wonderful bunch of people. Look, I wish you nothing but the best over this next year of recovery and renewal. It sounds like you're, ready and willing and able to jump back into a lot of what kind of was stifled because of the pandemic. Anything immediately that you can see that you're going to be jumping into? I know we mentioned a little with Soul Roots and things like that, but is it just going to be kind of a re-evolution of stuff? I know you've kept busy though.
Uh, I don't know. That's too much for me right now.
Right. I mean, it's everybody's kind of trying to figure out, what they're going to be doing and how they're going to want to kind of jump back in. But I know that there are fans and music hall people and musicians that can't wait to have you back out here in 2021. Linwood Taylor, thanks so much, man, for being a part of Living on Music. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
My pleasure, man. Well, that is one of those great experiences with a real hardcore bluesman and a wonderful guy. Again, I've known his wife Judy Ingamy Taylor for a while, who again is part of JV's amazing troupe of hard workers and creators of things, and just an amazing group of people. And to be able to talk to Linwood about his blues career and kind of the development of his playing and his singing and all that. I hope you really enjoyed it. Linwood, thanks so much, man. Love you, and stay safe and happy. I just had such a great time. Coming up real quick on Living on Music, you saw during the show, Linwood played a song, Hoochie Coochie Man, with the Nighthawks. Well, we have one of the legendary Nighthawks this Monday. Jan Zukowski, one of the original Nighthawks, joined the band back in the early 70s and played till about 2004, 40-year run with again, undoubtedly one of the great bands that this area has ever seen, American roots and blues. But boy, does he have some stories to tell us, playing in the studio with Jimi Hendrix, playing with Warren Haynes, playing Live Aid. He played bass with, we're going to talk about that. I mean, can you believe that? And so many other amazing musicians that he's collaborated with and played with over the years. So that's Monday with Jan. January 25th, Monday, Brian Frankie. Again, my former neighbor over in Fairfax, but what a exceptional singer-songwriter, award-winning, does both wonderful covers of existing music as well as his own stuff that he's written. Was used to 250 or so shows a year before this hit. And so he has been hit hard and hurting. And luckily, he has been able to find ways to play. On his recent gig list I saw on his site, he's playing a lot of wineries. Wineries are trying to, I guess, open up with the distancing and keep their lives going. So Brian is continuing to try to play live. But again, we'll talk a little bit about how this has affected him. But his music is really special, and can't wait to have Brian on. Great guy, and what an amazing musician. January 25th, Brian Frankie. February 1st, John Carroll, you guys. Anybody who's a musician in this area or a music fan knows John Carroll well. Basically, one of his earliest triumphs, obviously, was as part of the Starland vocal band, Grammy-winning band with Afternoon Delight way back in the 70s. We all remember that racy song about afternoon love, Afternoon Delight. But John has done so much more in his career, and we'll talk about all the stuff he's been doing and all the stuff he's done lately. I mean, Mary Chapin Carpenter said a quote about John: he's a one-man band, a poet, a songwriter, a singer of every kind of song, and above all, a musician. And I can also attest to his being a not-to-be-missed performer. So that's John Carroll, and to have him on this show just is going to be incredible. So that's on February 1st. A very special guest on February 8th, Joe Chavira. Joe is a lifelong musician, has a song catalog of his own, songs of 800 or more. He's done some wonderful projects out in California over the years. But what's been a really fascinating thing recently is that over the last few years, he ended up bonding with Trini Lopez, who, if you know Trini, he is a legendary musician, songwriter, musician, performer. My parents had his album Live at PJ's when I was a young boy, and I listened to that album all the time, and I can still have their record and just adore it. He was something else, Trini Lopez, and these guys hooked up, Joe and Trini, and Joe wrote songs with Trini. It was this amazing collaboration between the two of them. They did some songs together. It was an incredible experience. And Trini passed away, I believe, in August of illness related to the COVID-19 situation. So Joe felt that obviously very big, but he was called Joey the Jet in high school, his football coach, because he's so fast, and it kind of makes sense because of his ability to do music. So that's an amazingly exciting show on February 8th. And we've got an amazing February coming as well with Jenny Langer. We've got just some Jeff Kazi. We've got some amazing shows coming up. So stay tuned to Zebra on Facebook, and also my Living on Music page at cutt.ly, Living on Music. This week on ZTV, real quick, tomorrow night, Reading, Writing, and Ralph. Amazing. Has Adriana and George Sifakis, author of SWAK, the Novel of Betrayal. And there's a pretty cool description of it. They talk about this kind of domineering woman named Ma and her daughter Lauren struggling through kind of the getting through her mother-daughter relationship. It's got a treacherous secret and the ultimate test of Lauren's resilience. It's a really cool book, and Ralph does a wonderful job talking with these authors. So that is tomorrow night at 7 on Reading, Writing, and Ralph. And Wednesday at 7, the wonderful Dr. Lauren Fisher returns for Wellness Wednesday. This is a cool one too, guys. It's Kat Zajac. I want to be sure I get that name pronounced, but I might not have. Zajac. She's the owner of Ascend Cycle and Lift Lab. And basically they're going to talk about the inspiration behind the cycling business, the power or resiliency and adaptability during COVID-19, and also fitness tips, guys, for the new year. So that's cool. Stay tuned to our Zebra Facebook page. You go and find it, Zebra Press. Zebra, it says Good News, Zebra Press, Facebook. Click, join, be a part of it, and you'll get pings all the time on all of these shows. We've got a lot more coming during the next year. I'm sure we've got some Trash or Treasure episodes coming up and some other wonderful things. So be sure to tune into the Zebra Facebook page for all those ideas. And also remember, send us some ideas if you have any on shows that you think we should be doing. We'd love to hear from you. Living on Music is a production of Zebra Press. Always thanking in perpetuity the great David McClure for getting this whole network going, as well as our wonderful producer, editor extraordinaire, Lainey Delaney. Thanks, Lainey. And our Zebra Press publisher. We love you, Mary Wadland. The January 2020 edition of the Zebra is out now. And I want to say that, and I believe it. Mary will tell me if it's not. I believe it comes out around the 8th or the 9th. If not, it's out any minute. But check it out. Go to zebra.org and find it virtually or online. But you can always get it delivered, you guys. Go to zebra.org, find the subscription. They'll mail it to you in an envelope every month, and it is a wonderful piece. It is deep. It's got a lot going on in this area. It's great for businesses. It's great for events. It's got ZTV stuff, talks about our shows coming up in the next month. So go check that out either on zebra.org or get one delivered and get some paper in your hands for those who love newspapers like I do. Again, visit the Zebra at zebra.org or the Good News Zebra Press Facebook page, and also visit Living on Music at Cutley, CUTT.ly/Living on Music to follow us and also see all our past episodes. This coming Monday, one of the original Nighthawks, Jan Zukowski, joins me on Living on Music. And until then, as we enter into this new year full of hope and hopefully joy and recovery, remember, it's always good to be the good news in someone's life. Take care of everybody.